Hello, everybody. Welcome to CW Live. So yesterday we brought you, or Terry brought you rather, the news straight off the hot off the press, if you like, out of the talks with Royal Mail Group. We thought it'd be great to get Terry back on if he had a moment or two. He does, which is fantastic. He's just had a meeting of our postal executive to digest yesterday's meeting with the business. But more importantly than that, as it always is important, is we do our own thing, is to decide what we're going to do next. So afternoon, Terry. Thanks for making the time to join us, mate. And I wondered if you wanted to just give the members an update on where we are on the executive meeting today.
Yeah, I'm just trying to reflect on the videos yesterday. So, you know, they were literally done, as you know, going in, and when I walked out of the talks. Was even more surprised, really, that, you know, immediately after the meeting's finished almost, that the business has gone out with clearly pre-prepared communications. I mean, you might be able to help me.
Sorry, Terry. I mean, one of the things, just to try to interrupt you, one of the things that I took from that, because obviously you came out and you dropped me a message and said, I want to go live. So we put you on the page straight away immediately. And just as you were doing that, Royal Mail put their communications out. I mean, and I can say in my experience of knocking those videos up that they're not done in minutes. You know, to have the video, it wasn't like you were doing just straight on your own phone and getting it out for the members. This was a video that would have been filmed properly, had several camera angles, was zooming in, zooming out, subtitles. I mean, that was prepared. You know, I'm saying to you, as from a comms perspective, that was prepared, Terry, well in advance of your meeting with the company. So, you know, I'd wonder what your take would be on that, in terms of you've gone in, you've been genuine, you're looking on behalf of our members to get what the company are coming from. They've got their comms prepared, whatever the outcome of that meeting is. So, I mean, that says a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it says a lot. Unfortunately, it says a lot for the trust agenda, doesn't it? That we're told yesterday that it's the first meeting, that it's not a negotiating meeting, it's a closed meeting. So the shape of what they would consider to be an offer was closed. There was nothing in writing. And I've already, told in yesterday's video that it would be unacceptable, the shape they were talking about. I'll touch a bit on that in a minute. But then to see, there was good reasons why that couldn't be discussed, because we pushed them and said, if you think that's a good offer, tell your people. And let's see how the people think about it, because I know how the people are going to react to it. So we said we now want it in writing, and I'm waiting for it in writing. That's due to be coming today. The offer in writing, but the way they've gone about their comms yesterday puts a whole different light on it to me, Chris, because one, it was obviously premeditated. They know we won't accept what they're putting forward. So in that context, you've got to see this as a very aggressive proposition from the business. The fact that they've had to go back to the board 2 or 3 times to get a pay remit, as I reflect, that clearly indicates to us that there's hawks and doves again on the board, and the hawks are trying to get their way, and they're trying to use any pay award, whether it's an acceptable offer or not. They're trying to use any pay award to push through issues that we are dealing with under our pathway to change agreement. We are in talks on a lot of those issues. In fact, we've been waiting. We've been calling for meetings. But they're just trying to use pay to get their own way and attach it to giving our people, which I have to tell you, I think is going to be a totally inept offer, even if it was a standalone pay rise offer. So it's that sort of tactic. That's concerning. One, it can be a negotiating angle to see if there's anything they can squeeze out of us on those issues. But on the other hand, you've got, especially when you've got the premeditated comms, you've got to assume it's an aggressive issue. What made me laugh yesterday, to myself, I suppose, despite how angry I feel about this, because I genuinely think that there's a debt of honour to our members and to postal workers, to key workers as they were during the pandemic. And I think they're being insulted by this offer. And I think when they see it in its full glory, if they write to us in full glory, of course, then we'll start talking about it. Then I think they'll be of the same opinion, that it's an insult. And it really does insult everything that our members have done. And I think they're going to lose a lot of ground with their employees, Royal Mail, over that issue. But what surprised me yesterday was elements of the closed offer that they didn't feel ready to go out with, because they said it may upset suppliers that they use, etc. That they want to make these extreme potential changes, and yet in the written communication put out by Ricky McCauley, who was leading the talks, who when we asked for it in writing, said he didn't have it in writing. But as I say, he had the pre-prepared comms clearly sitting there. I never mentioned that. They haven't just said that we're engaging in talks. He has actually mentioned issues that are part of the closed offer. Not all of them, but he's mentioned things like reduced use of the air network, effectively pushing parcels, bigger parcels, pushing parcels later in the day, etc. He started to touch on some of the issues. So I think it's sort of, in that respect, it's fair game. I want to wait for the written proposal so that we've got it in writing and it's absolutely crystal clear, and there's no dubiety about what was said or what was proposed to us. But in terms of some of the issues, what I can tell you, and I'll elaborate in the same way as Ricky was, they are talking about any pay deal is conditional on change. Conditional. There's nothing there to reward our members for what they've done. Any pay rise would be conditional on us just accepting, and remember this could take months, some of these talks, but us just accepting a two-tier workforce. So pulling up the ladder on the next generation of postal workers coming on worse terms and conditions, things we opposed in the Rico Back era, things we opposed before the four pillars, actually. So some of the stuff is and clearly, if this is people on the board demanding it, they've just blown the dust off of previous proposals, and they're just, I don't know whether they think they can pull a fast one, give us a pay deal, and we just accept this stuff. We never has done. We wouldn't accept that. They're talking about, buying out allowances, getting rid of allowances again. Same debate that we had previously, which we was in opposition to. And a number of issues. Like I say, the pipeline issue. We are thick in the talks on pipeline in our pathway to change agreements. Nothing to do with pay. That's separate negotiations. That's a separate agreement. Pay is totally separate from that. And our members now need to understand it. We are still extremely serious about reinventing Royal Mail, protecting this great public service, the next generation of postal workers. We just had a policy forum just a few weeks ago, cleared a 90-page document on policy to move forward all those issues and put in the CWU's ideas on pipeline and everything else. But on these little bits that they particularly want, they don't want to negotiate on them. They're trying to drive it through by trying to buy people off with a pay deal. I would say to you that is the same mentality, not as extreme, but that is the same mentality, if that's board members doing that, as the P&O people. We can't get our own way through negotiation and decent mutual interest agreements. So what we do is we'll try and find a way to push through stuff which we know is unacceptable. And that is extremely dangerous because obviously it leads to conflict. So what we've done with the postal executive today is we've carried our own emergency motion that we want to place before conference, because that's naturally going to be massive. This is going to be massively debated at conference, and the employer hasn't helped that in any way, shape or form with its comms. It seems to think this workplace is the be all and end all. Chris, they've always been jealous of our comms and the way we can get and speak to our people. And they seem to think that's going to win them favour somewhere in workplace. And I'd like to say, actually, take this opportunity to say everyone who's on that workplace, which is voluntary, so our members, not everyone's on there. I never look at it. I don't go on workplace. Anyone who looks at all that and really believes it's a genuine sort of thing, then you're being mugged off. So if you're on there, not just because you want to say things about how you might want to improve things and not for other members, but just for you. If you're on there because you're a sucker, then that's where you are. If you're on there because you're just generally interested and you're actually putting your view, then I tell you now, you should be steaming in on that workplace now about the fact that they are not even making you a pay offer just for what you've done through the pandemic and the manner in which you improved the finances of this company to the point that they could not only give shareholders a reward, but also give them a bonus as well, which was only paid out, by the way, in January this year. You should be steaming in, because they're insulting you by effectively saying you can only have a pay rise if the union signs up to certain things which will be totally unacceptable to you and damaging to the future of this great postal service, in our opinion. So what the executive's done today, we've carried a motion. We'll be put an emergency motion. We'll be put into to our conference. We are going to honour all our agreements. We honour our agreements. We are just effectively in the start of dispute over our pay. Hopefully we won't be. So we will be talking about a timescale, but all consistent with our legally binding agreement, our dispute resolution processes. We, of course, hope there's going to be a massive change of heart in the business, but it will have to be massive because we've started from a very, very low bar. But we're going to set a timescale which says this don't go on forever. So, you know, within a very short period of time, really, we need to be in a position where we've either got an agreement or we are in dispute. And of course, if we're in dispute, that means us being in a position to be able to take industrial action, if that's what our members agree, in order to protest and in order to secure what our members deserve and what they deserve for what they've done and what they need to protect them from this cost of living crisis.
Thanks, Terry. I think, you know, you've given the most comprehensive possible answer, which covers, you know, the situation yesterday, Royal Mail's communications, the executive decision, and exactly where we are in terms of the time frame. Is there anything you want to add in closing to our members? Because I know, just for everyone watching, that Terry and I will be bringing you loads of updates next week down at conference in Bournemouth. So there's many more communications to back this one up. But is there any final message you want to get across right at this moment, Terry?
Yeah, what I want to say to people is I think you're going to find a number of trade unions, a number of representatives of genuine, decent working people, especially key workers, saying that they should be rewarded for what they've done through the pandemic, but they should be treated much better than they are. And in terms of pay talks, you may hear a lot about this. So I think what the employer may do, all employers, they may go down a line of trying to say that this is, we're only doing this because come hell or high water, we want to fall out with the employer overpay. That's not where we want to be. And circumstances are what they are. So our members in the post office, which is separate from Royal Mail Group, of course, they've already balloted. They're going to be looking to take a day's industrial action. They were offered absolutely nothing for last year. And I understand they've been offered sort of 2% for this year or whatever. These are people in our post office counters, people that were going in like our members on the front line, doing the dispute at the backs of the nation. Everywhere else on the high street was shut. Post office was open, big queues. So they had much better turnout in terms of footfall and everything else. But no credit given to those workers, no reward given to those workers, treated appallingly, and absolutely 100% right to be balloting and to be taking industrial action in its own right. Our members in BT are in a similar position, whereas I understand it, and offers, they're talking about imposing an offer, which gives lower pay, a bigger percentage, and something like 2% for other. It's totally unacceptable. You know, we've got like inflation heading towards, double figures, etc. And so that's our members in BT are balloting, and they haven't done that for years, to the point they'll be balloting, looking to take industrial action to defend themselves and fight for what's right. And we're going to find ourselves in the same boat unless things change. Now, we don't want to be there, Chris. We want to carry on with the reinvention of Royal Mail. Of course, there's been headwinds that have hit us, and hit all businesses with what's going on at the moment, with the economy, Ukraine, whatever war, whatever you want to talk about. But we have to get around that. We have to redesign the plan, because there is still so much potential in the medium and long term for Royal Mail Group. What this does, though, because those people who just want to stuff their pockets with gold, they start to panic about their money, don't they? And they then move away from a long-term project, and they want to do it now. And the way they see of doing it now is attacking our terms and conditions, reducing the times that we deliver and everything else, condensing it all to later, not because that's right for customers, because it's cheaper for them and they make more money. So that means the whole focus, when we had our pathway to change agreement, looking at the future, short, long, medium term, that's all still there. That potential is all still there. There's still so much to do. We did so much. Our members did so much, not just serving the public during the pandemic, but the change we deployed as well. This union demonstrated it sticks to that agreement and it's serious about that agreement. In this moment in time, there's a cost of living crisis. And I repeat, those workers, Royal Mail workers, that drastically improved the finances of Royal Mail during that pandemic off of their backs, off of the backs of our members. No one else, because they were the only ones out there working, off of the back of our members. They deserve a decent pay rise for that, and they deserve to be protected from this cost of living crisis. This is no way to treat heroes. And that's, I'm not using that word lightly, because that's what key workers were during this pandemic. And don't forget, everyone was saying that. Everyone was out on the street clapping. Everyone were key workers. Our members were key workers. They're being treated disgracefully by the business with this offer. So when we get it in writing and when people see the full scope of the offer, they'll realise why I'm angry and frustrated. Is it too late? No, because we've offered talks immediately after conference. We've already booked 3 days of talks, and we'll enter those talks in the right spirit. They're going to have to drastically change their position, by the way, but we will also be using our agreements, sticking to our agreements to ensure there's proper timescales around this so it don't go on for months and months and months. And we will also be insisting it is nothing to do with the agreement we've already got. All of the issues proper to that agreement will be discussed in separate talks relating to that agreement. Pay is a separate stand-alone issue, and no one forget that.
Thank you, Terry. Fantastic. I know you're busy and I know you've got to get ready for conference, so we do appreciate your time with us this afternoon. Both Terry and myself also, more than that, appreciate all the members who have come on. Get those messages out there. Make sure the union's voice is out there, and you follow the sort of guidance Terry's given you in and around some of that. And both of us will catch you all at conference. Take it easy, everyone.